General Hospital spoilers keep circling around one very uncomfortable truth, and I kinda love that they are not pretending otherwise. Sidwell is not stupid, not even close. He knows the difference between right and wrong, at least in the cold, strategic sense of it. He knows Sonny is not the reason Natalia died. He knows that. He is not some hysterical villain chasing revenge because of grief. No, he is calculated. He is offended because Sonny stands in his way, because Sonny interferes with his business in the crowd. Sidwell wants to dominate. It is about power, not morality. And I actually respect that clarity, even if I hate the man. Sidwell going after Sonny has nothing to do with justice. It is about territory, Doc's influence, money flowing in the right direction, his direction. Sonny represents an obstacle, a wall that refuses to fall. And Sidwell understands something very important that Marco does not. You do not rush a wall. You study it, you test it, you weaken it slowly. You do not slam your head against it just because you are angry. He has told Marco more than once, slow down, do not be reckless, do not try to take Sonny down too quickly. That is not fear speaking, that is experience. Sidwell is not against eliminating Sonny. Let us be clear. He absolutely plans to do it. But only when the timing is perfect. Only when the Docs are under his control. Only when the Corinthos organization is already fractured. Only when Sonny is isolated, cornered, stripped of leverage. Then, and only then, does he strike. That is how predators survive. And here is where it gets messy. Because Marco, his son, does not see the board the same way. Marco hears the warnings, but he interprets them differently. He hears, you might die if you go after Sonny. He sees his father, a man he considers formidable, even intimidating, showing caution. And to a younger man, that can look like weakness. Or worse, it can look like doubt. Marco knows Sidwell is dangerous. But he also senses something else. Sonny is more dangerous. That is the part that unsettles him. Because if his own father hesitates, what does that say about the man they are targeting? Sonny at this point is not some fading mob relic. He is sharp. He is paranoid in the right ways. He is surrounded by loyalty that has been tested in blood. And then there is Jason. We cannot talk about Sonny without talking about Jason. That is impossible. Jason is not just muscle. He is instinct, strategy, shield. He is the man who absorbs the first bullet so Sonny does not have to. Sidwell knows this. Sidwell calculates with Jason in mind every single time. Marco, on the other hand, underestimates him in the most dangerous way possible. Sidwell could have rested easy, at least temporarily, if Marco had simply listened. If Marco had stayed quiet, waited, watched. But Sidwell made one fatal mistake. He did not monitor his son closely enough. He assumed the warnings were enough. They were not. Marco decides, in secret, that if he cannot reach Sonny directly, he will cut off the arm instead of the head. He kidnaps Jason. I have to pause here because this is where the arrogance becomes almost painful to watch. Marco thinks Jason is the easier target. That is such a naive miscalculation that it almost makes me laugh, except it is not funny. Jason might be even more dangerous than Sonny precisely because he does not carry the emotional weight Sonny does. Jason is methodical. He does not get distracted by sentiment. He is a machine when necessary. Still, a surprise attack can do a lot. Even the most dangerous man can fall if he is caught off guard. Marco ambushes him. It is brutal, sudden. Jason is injured, captured, taken somewhere hidden, somewhere isolated. Now, here is the interesting part. Jason has escaped from prison before. A real prison. Bars, guards, systems designed to keep criminals locked away. So, being held by Marco, by some improvised captivity arrangement, that in itself is not impossible for him to overcome. If Jason were at full strength, I do not think this would last long. But he is not at full strength. He was attacked from behind. He was injured. He needs time to recover. And this is where I think the writing becomes subtle in a way people might miss. Jason does not immediately escape. Not because he cannot, but because it might be strategically smarter to wait, to heal, to regain his physical edge. A wounded escape attempt is a failed escape attempt. So maybe, just maybe, Jason chooses temporary captivity. That sounds absurd, but with him it is believable. He calculates the odds. He waits. He gathers information. He lets Marco think he has won something. Meanwhile, Sonny feels it. That is the thing about Sonny and Jason. They are connected in a way that does not require phone calls. When Jason disappears, Sonny knows something is wrong. It is not just business. It is instinct. What Sonny does not initially suspect is almost insulting. He does not think someone as weak, as inexperienced as Marco would dare to touch Jason. That blind spot is fascinating. Sonny underestimates Marco not because Marco is harmless, but because Marco has never proven himself capable of this level of audacity. And that is where the tension explodes. Sonny starts digging quietly. He does not panic publicly. He investigates, he questions, he listens, and then he receives the information. Secret, unexpected, almost unbelievable. Marco is behind Jason's disappearance. No forgiveness. That is the only possible response. Sonny deciding to rescue Jason is not just about loyalty. It is about restoring order. You cannot allow someone to kidnap your right hand and live comfortably afterward. That invites chaos. That invites disrespect. So Sonny prepares not only to save Jason, but to crush Marco in the process. And here is where Sidwell's worst fear comes true. Not that Sonny would retaliate. Of course he would. The real nightmare is that Marco acted too soon, too recklessly, before Sidwell had secured the docs, the organization, the leverage. Now they are exposed. Now Sonny is coming with purpose. I find myself oddly sympathetic towards Sidwell in this specific scenario, not because he is good, he is not, but because he understands the game, and he warned his son over and over. Do not rush, do not provoke. Wait until control is absolute. Marco ignored that. Out of pride, out of impatience, out of wanting to prove himself. That is such a human flaw. It is not even evil, it is insecurity wrapped in bravado. And the idea that Jason is held captive for exactly 3 months. That detail feels deliberate. 3 months of absence, 3 months of Sonny operating without his anchor. It mirrors the real-world absence of Steve Burton. I do not think that is accidental. Sometimes the story bends around the actor, and here it feels almost poetic. 3 months is long enough for fear to spread, long enough for enemies to test boundaries, long enough for Sonny to question everything, but it is also long enough for Jason to heal, to watch, to plan. When Jason finally returns, and I do believe he will return stronger, Marco will understand the scale of his mistake. Kidnapping Jason is not a clever workaround. It is lighting a match in a room filled with gasoline. Sonny will not simply rescue him and move on. He will make an example, because that is how this world functions. Mercy is interpreted as weakness. Sidwell might survive this. He might pivot, adapt, recalibrate. But Marco, I am not so sure. He stepped into a war he did not fully understand, and maybe that is the point of this entire arc. Experience versus ego. Strategy versus impulse. A father who knows the cost of moving too soon, and a son who refuses to believe that caution is not cowardice. In the end, I think Sidwell was right about one thing: timing is everything, and Marco just destroyed theirs. It is messy, it is chaotic, it is very General Hospital, and honestly, I would not want it any other way.